Okay, for this video we're going to look at how to add assessments to your Mastery trackers in MasteryConnect and the different types of assessments that are available. Okay, we start with, again, MasteryConnect.com, log in. We're going to sign in with Google using our district provided email account. And previously we created a tracker. If you look here, so you've got home, map, trackers, assessments, pins, and community. You go to trackers. The default thought in your mind might be go to assessments here, but we're aligning the assessment specifically with the tracker. Okay, and so let's look here. If you watched the previous video, this 2019 Language Arts 11 third period, this is the tracker we created previously. If you need to understand how to create trackers, go back and watch the MasteryConnect created tracker video. I'll walk you through that. So first of all, we're going to click on our tracker. Now, we have our standards all laid out here for us. So depending on where you're at, now we've got to start to assess our standards. By assessing our standards, we're going to understand where students are at, what we need to improve, how we can differentiate for those students, and things like that in the data-driven instructional cycle. That's where we're at now. So if you highlight over the down arrow there, you can see it goes to assess. We're going to click on assess there. Now this one we're looking at, when we pull it up, we don't have any assessments attached to it, so that nothing's going to happen. So we've got two options. We can click add assessment up here, add assessment down here, either way. Now here's where some of your options come. Okay, search the community. This is going to be looking at assessments that other teachers have created, or sometimes district level teams have created assessments, common assessments, and they've published them to MasteryConnect for use by the general public. The second one here is select from my assessments. This is going to be the assessments that you have previously created, and you can go from tracker to tracker with, and you can align them. Okay. The third option here is to create a new assessment. This is the option we're going to use here, but first let me talk briefly about here. Enter the raw scores. So say you're in October and you just new to MasteryConnect, but you've done some assessments with students, but you don't want to go back and reassess them on the standards just so you can add them to MasteryConnect to see where you're at. With that, what you can actually do is you can go back and you can add raw scores to the assessment category, so you can see students who are on mastery level, who are nearing mastery level, who are below and need remediation. And as these go through, if you have multiple assessments for the same standard, those add up, and then you can see what students are at mastery, what ones are nearing mastery, what ones need remediation, things like that. So to start with, though, we're going to create a new assessment here, and I'm going to go through some different options here. We're going to create a couple of different assessments here so you can see the different options that are there for creating the assessments. Okay, so we're going to start with, obviously, if you look over here, you can see the stars. These are the required things for your assessment to be created. We're going to name this Delete Me 1. Here you can add a description. This is for your own use, or if you are publishing these to the community, so people can kind of get a gist of what is there. Now here's where some of your options come to where it works better, or not works better, but it's easier or more convenient for language arts, math, science teachers. Some of the social studies courses are covered in here too, but for the most part, math, language arts, and science have a better assessment source through some of these. And that's the navigation item bank. This is, our district has purchased teacher created, teacher reviewed resources for the standards. Okay, so if you click on that one there, it gives you it'll give us some options we'll look at here in a second. Now, privacy. You can make it private to your school, you can make it private to me, or you can make it private to my district. Okay, if you look, when we go back and create something else, you're going to see that there's another option where you can let it go to the community, but because the navigation item bank is purchased, therefore it's copyrighted, things like that, so you can't go beyond the district level of access to it because the district has made that purchase. So the easiest setting to go is going to be the district setting. That way, if you're collaborating with other teachers, things like that, it works for you. Okay. Now, once again, we're working in language arts, and we're working, if you look up here, our standard, okay, we can change that. The RL 11-12.1, okay, that one's the one that, because the standard that we clicked in, that's the standard we clicked in. So, but say we want to do multi-standard, okay, by doing multi-standard, it's going to have, we can assess more than one standard at once, which is going to be typically how it works for you. Okay, now we got to go back to adding our item bank back in there. We're going to leave it to make it private to our district. Okay, and here you can take, we have all of our different standards that we can select from. Okay, we're going to start with our first standard there, and if you look here, there is a very large selection of passages to align these two. So I'm going to go from the Declaration of Independence. Okay, but if you look at it, it's got 40 items here that we can choose from. We've got different depths of knowledge. You've got the option for a grade cam, and we'll discuss that a little bit more later on. You can actually print these out. You can do multi-part linked questions. Okay, so, but here you can go through and you can look at each of your questions and you can add them individually. If you look, you've got the standards that they align to, the number of points, the depth of knowledge that they align to, and you can go there. For this one, I'm going to say, I'm just going to add 10 random questions, and if you add in 10 to the box and then go add, okay, it randomly selected 10 questions from this item bank of 40 to add to it. You may or may not want to do that. So now, if you go down here, if you look, okay, this assesses 6 different standards. And the 10 we selected, the random selection of 10, came up with this standard here has 1 question in there. So mastery for 1, you're going to have to go 1. Near mastery, if there's only 1 question being assessed, that's kind of hard with the near mastery. For this, we're going to go 0. 50% is typically considered, when looking at MasteryConnect's program, 50% is considered near mastery, 80% is considered mastery. Anything above 80% is above mastery. So this one here, we're going to go 2 and then 1, and then we're going to go back to our formula of 1 and 0 here, and we're just going to go back and fill those back in so they all align. Okay, now we're going to go, here's where it gets a little bit complicated and you've got to look at it. So we're looking at a total of our standards with mastery here. So you've got to understand that 3 out of 4 obviously is 75%. That's not necessarily mastery. So you're going to have to go, if we go 4 out of 4 there, in order to find mastery within this breakdown, they're going to have to get all 10 correct. So for this argument, we're going to go 2, near mastery being, or we're going to go 3 with near mastery being 2. Okay? Then we're going to create our assessment. Once our assessment is created, then if you look here, then it goes back into our tracker, and you can see our students that we fictionally created when we created our tracker there, and then you can see the different standards. And then when the assessment is delivered, you can see that. In a later video, I will show you, we'll go ahead and we'll take some assessments so that you can see the data of how it's created and things like that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to create another assessment. Now, we're going to create a new one again. We're going to call this one Delete Me Too. Okay. This one, okay, so we're not going to use the navigation bank. So we're going to upload a file. Okay. Now here's where the convenience and the true use of MasteryConnect for teachers that already have all their assessments in place. Okay. You've spent all this time during your career creating your assessments. You have high quality assessments. They work for you. You know the assessments, you know the information, blah, blah, blah. Okay? You can actually take and you can upload that as a file, and then you can add the answers to it, and within the answers, you can take and you can assign standards to them, and then you can assign mastery scores and whatnot from there. Okay? And you can do it from a multitude of sources. You can do it just from your computer. You can do it from Google Drive, Dropbox. Okay? And then you have different question types. You can do multiple choice, true, false, bubble sheet, rubric scoring. You can create a rubric within it, open answer, mixed, things like that. Okay? And then you would add the number of questions. Okay? And then it comes back down, multiple choice. You're going to put what your answers are, right? Number of points. And then for this one, so you'd say 8 would be mastery, 5 would be near mastery. Then you would create your assessment from there. Okay, and so now we're gonna go back into our tracker. We're gonna look at assessments again one more time here. Okay. Then you go back into assess, and remember where we created that one. There are some assessments there, but we're going to add an assessment, and now we're going to search the community this time. Okay. This is where other teachers have created assessments and they've shared them. Okay. If you look here, okay, here is your filter. So our subject is going to be when we do go through our tracker in order to create the assessment this way, all of this is created in a manner your filters out exactly the same as what standard you're in. So you can look here, you've got all these different ones. Now, you have to be careful with this when you're searching the community. If you look here, you can see 4 different levels. Okay, you can see the red that's remediation, you can see the yellow that's near mastery, the green is mastery, and then the blue is above or exceeds mastery. Okay, you can see those ones. Here you can see it's on a rubric of 3. Okay, you got to make sure that you work within what your district has set up, because it's a district level that sets them up as either 3 or 4. So let's say we're going to use this one here by Nicholas Kruger. You just click add and then add to the tracker. Okay, and then it's going to give you the option to add it to it. Once you've added it there, you're good to go. Now, let's say we want to go back in there and add another assessment. We're going to search the community again. Okay, we're set up, our district is set up on the 3 levels of mastery, the remediation, near mastery, and the mastery. We don't have the exceeds mastery set up at this point. Okay, say we want to go set one of those up that has that. Okay, we're going to click it to add to tracker, and all of a sudden it's got a big red warning label saying, hey, this doesn't work because it has different mastery levels. Now, say it's a really great assessment and you want to use it, you can still go in and you can convert the assessment. Okay, if you look there, see, now we just have to go in and we have to lay it out to where it works within what our district has set up. And then you clone the assessment, and then in theory it will work. Oh, sorry, I forgot to add our title. Okay, then we're going to clone our assessment. Now we can only clone assessments that have the settings of being shared to the correct settings, things like that. Okay. Now within our assessments, so if you click on assessments, it'll take you to a list of assessments that you have. So here's the delete me 1, delete me 3 that we set up. I never saved delete me 2, different ones. So say we go into our delete me 1 here, and we want to look at some different things with it. Okay. Say we want to change some of the settings, we can edit it here. Now say we want to add the option for the grade cam. Okay. What the grade cam does is the grade cam allows it to where you can actually print out the test and it'll have a bubble sheet on it. The students will take the bubble sheet, they'll fill it out. If you've got students that work better with bubble sheet answers versus computer based, or you're worried about testing, any of those things, okay, you can take and create this and it'll create a bubble sheet, and then when you print it, so let's see, let's save our changes here. Then when you print it, it's going to print that bubble sheet. The students fill out the bubble sheet, and you can actually use your teacher issued Chromebook or MacBook or whatever you have that has a camera on it, and you can actually grade it by holding the bubble sheet up in front of it. And so let's see if this will do this for here. So if we click print there, okay, this one didn't actually go with the bubble sheet for us, but it will print a bubble sheet. It'll print a bubble sheet on there that you can use, and then you can score it using your camera. It's a pretty convenient feature, and you can actually have like your Chromebook set. You could have your Chromebook set up, and when they're done, they come and they put it in front of there, and they're the ones that do it. So those are the different ways to create assessments. Further on, we'll look a little bit more at some of the assessment features and how they work within that.